We pledge allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are the mics on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Board of Adjustments is a 9-member board, and we're appointed by the City Council. We serve on a volunteer basis without any compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is that I will call the petitioner's name. If you please come to the podium and the mic, speak clearly, and present your request, and be prepared to answer any questions that anybody on the board may have. Anyone in the audience will be given the opportunity to ask any questions as well. Once we receive public testimony on a particular item, we will vote and render our decision. I'll remind any member with a personal or financial interest, you're required to recuse yourselves from voting. Any testimony submitted by the petitioner or on behalf of the petitioner during the presentation of the agenda item will be binding as to any decision the board makes relative to the motion. I'll remind the members of the board, if a motion to deny an item is made, a reason must be given. This time I'll introduce the members of the board that are here. Ms. K.T. Brown, our Vice Chairman, Mr. Steve Hughes, Mr. Nathan Williams, Mr. Bart Prince, Mr. Pickett Reese, Mr. George Howell Jr. I'm John Stanley, your Chairman. Our Planning and Control staff, Mr. Robert Smith, Director of Planning, Mr. Tommy Tyson, our Executive Secretary, Mr. James Center, with Planning and Controls, and Ms. Tanya Ingram, our Recording Secretary. Any questions? We have 7 members here tonight. It takes 5 members to approve a motion. Any questions? If not, we'll get started. Item number 1 is presented by Bobby Jackson, requesting a side yard variance for an addition to the dwelling located at 6336 Old Pond Road in an R75S zoning district. Mr. Jackson?
Yes, I request a carport cover because of the situation I have with the weather. The weather usually it's extremely hot down here in the summer, and I have to crack my windows to keep it down to at least 100 degrees in the summertime. And if I crack my windows and I go somewhere and come back, if it rains or something, water gets into one of the cars that I left at my residence.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, what you're asking for here is a carport that will come within 3 feet of your property line.
Yes, sir.
So you're requesting a 7-foot side yard variance.
Yes, sir.
And you're prepared to put gutters and downspouts on that carport so that your water is drained and stays on your property.
Yes, sir.
You okay with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
So be it.
Have a motion to approve.
With the understanding of it being a variance or a 7-foot side yard variance and planning control comments.
Yes. Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Prince. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you.
That was painless, wasn't it?
Thank you.
Item number 2 is presented by Harry Hall. Mr. Hall here? Oh, okay. Representing Santos Mejia, requesting a rear yard variance for an existing addition to a dwelling located at 17 Salem Drive in an R60S zoning district. And board members, I'll bring to your attention that there was a complaint issued on that. So, Mr. Hall? You Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, apparently you went ahead and had the addition constructed without a variance.
I'm not the one who started the project.
the people.
Sir, you need, if you would speak a little clearer into that.
I wasn't the one who started the project. Someone else started it, and they were run off. I'm taking it over, and I'm here to try to get the variance for the property in question.
What is the addition? Is it an addition of the existing home? Is it a carport? What is the existing addition?
It's a couple of rooms on the back of the house, and at the very end, there's a carport. The property line is at an angle, so it's approximately 27 foot away from the dwelling on one end, but on the other end, it comes within 17 foot of the dwelling.
Gotcha. Okay. Would you have any idea why there was a complaint?
No.
Do you know who may have issued the
I
complaint?
don't know who made the complaint.
Okay. Well, if they're here, I'm gonna give them that opportunity to come forward in a moment.
Okay, no problem.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you're 17 feet off that rear line, you should have been 20.
Right.
Gotcha.
On one angle, as the driveway come
Right.
up the side of the house, you got 17 foot.
At the closest point, it's 17 feet.
Right, and on the other end of the house is approximately 27 foot from the property line.
Right. Is there a water issue of water coming off this property and going into someone else's backyard? Are you
No.
aware of any water issue?
I'm not aware of any water issues, but on the back end of the property, it slants toward the house. There will probably have to be something like a French drain put in to run the water around the side.
Well, it's always our requirement to make sure that you deal with water and keep it on
Right.
your own property,
Right.
regardless of the circumstances, okay? All right. Any questions, board members, before I
Yes.
see if there are complaints here?
Yes, Mr. Hall, are you the contractor?
I'm the one who's gonna be taking over this project.
Okay.
The ones that started the project were ran off,
Yeah,
and I'm starting the project up, taking it over.
okay. So the owner is this Santos Mahon?
Right,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How far along is this addition? What's been done already?
It's been slab poured, and it's been partially framed up. The roof has been blacked in, but it hadn't been finished.
Thank you.
Are there gutters and downspouts on this existing addition?
No, well, the roof hadn't,
Sir?
the roof hadn't been finished. It's just been blacked in, the top just been blacked in.
Is this a flat roof or a hip roof?
Hip roof,
So it'll be similar to what's already there.
right.
Okay,
The pitch will take the same pitch as the existing house,
okay. So the water's gonna spill off in 3 different directions.
right.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions, board members? Is anyone in the audience care to address this item? Is the person who, there, okay. Come forward, sir.
I'm Curtis Luther. I live approximately a block and a half down from this residence. And what caught my attention on it, because I went through the building process to close my carport in back in the 80s. So I knew you had to have the permit, go through like foundation, framing, and final inspections, you know, before you can move in. And when I looked at it, as this gentleman mentioned, when you look at the concrete, it goes uphill on the backyard. And the light bulbs just went off. That's not being built to city code. And I filed, I called down here, and when I say I filed a complaint, I asked them, have y'all issued a building permit at 17 Salem Drive? And they said, no, we hadn't. I said, could you get an inspector out there then? Because it needs to go through the process of what's required by the city of Montgomery. I'm not against them getting the variance. I learned some from him. I realized why some of the studs are not on the back of the house now. That's going to be a carport portion. I'm not against them getting it. They just need to go through the process on the construction.
Right. I got you. So your complaint wasn't necessarily regarding the variance or the setback, but the fact that you found out he had not gotten a building permit, or proper
Right.
building permit.
And if it went ahead and got constructed, I didn't want that creeping up the street and my property values being affected any more than what we've had affected in the last 10 years.
Mr. Hall, have you since seen about a building permit?
I didn't hear you.
Have you checked on getting a building permit?
I checked on it, but they told me I had to go through getting the variance first. Like I said, I'm just taking over the project. The people that started it
Yes,
got
sir.
run off.
Yes, sir.
So they told me, when
Well-
I went to see about getting the permit, they said I needed to come here and get a variance first. And
Yes, sir.
once that was granted, then I could go and
That's
pull
correct.
permits for them.
Sir, you understand that process?
Yes.
He's here because he's been instructed to get our permission or approval for the variance. Then he's got to deal with the building permit. That's when our staff in the building department will deal with what's on the ground now
Yes, I understand.
and what will happen in the future.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. I appreciate you bringing that to everybody's attention.
Is there a motion?
Not yet. Yeah. Right. Is there anyone else in the audience that cares to address this item? James,
There's no motion.
any comments, James? No, sir. Okay. All right. Mr. Hall, you understand the situation?
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve this variance.
Have a motion
Second.
to approve, to have from Mr. Howell and a second from Ms. Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Be sure you get with the building department.
I'll be getting with them first.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Item number 3 is presented by David Givens, requesting a special exception to keep chickens at 44 South Capitol Parkway in an R60S zoning district. Okay, Mr. Givens, you had chickens already there.
We moved in with them when we moved into the neighborhood. We brought them from our
So
old.
apparently you wasn't aware that you had to get an approval for chickens.
No, I wasn't. We checked we checked with somebody and they said, yeah, they're fine to have here, but they didn't tell us that we were supposed to go and get permission to do that. So anyway, here I am.
Have you got a rooster in the mix?
And no, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
I value my sleep more than that.
He
All
has
right.
plenty of space.
What about, you got the coop and all that?
Right. So actually, I do, and I had already. Obviously, it was like I said, it was existing. When I went in and read the code, I made sure to. I've actually since I read the code, moved it and put it in a place where it's in line with everything that's on the guidelines required for chickens.
Okay. I assume nobody complained about them, right?
Not to
That
my
you're
knowledge.
aware of?
No.
Yeah, okay. Any questions, board members?
Anything
Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I looked at it, and he has plenty of space in the area where he's located. I move that we grant the variance.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second? Second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Have a
luck.
good night.
Stay away from the roosters. Item number 4 is presented by Horace and Holly Davis, requesting a coverage variance for an accessory structure to be located at 468 County Downs Court in an R75 zoning district. How you doing, Horace?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Tell us what you want to do.
My wife Holly and I would, that's a little loud, would like to build an accessory structure mainly for garage purposes at 468 County Downs Road. The existing garage is a little bit on the small side for our purposes. And the additional one, I believe, falls within all the city code requirements. And the subdivision covenants are governed by Marshall Construction Company, and I've spoken with them, and they said even though that this is a little bit larger than the city code by square footage is allowed, that they would approve it as long as the city did. So we're asking for a variance to make it just a little bit larger than the city code is now.
Okay, so just for the record, again, what you intend to use or put into the proposed accessory structure?
Use it as a garage and also some storage. I have one thing, a vintage automobile and trailer, and I'd like to back it in there to keep it safe and to get it out of sight.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the proposal.
I didn't see yours.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a
Second.
second? Second, Mr. Reese. Any further discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand. It's unanimous.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. See you, Harv.
I didn't see yours.
How you doing, Holly?
Shut up.
Item number 5 is presented by J.M. Garrett & Son, representing Lucky LLC, requesting a story variance and a height variance for a new building to be located on the south side of East Chase Lane, approximately 1,000 feet west of Berry Hill Road in a B2 zoning district.
Good evening, Mr. Chamber. And
Councilman?
council. Listen, back in 2008, I came down here with this piece of property and had a hotel looking at it, and they wanted to put a 5-story hotel here, and they never purchased the property and never moved forward with it. This group, Lucky LLC, has purchased the property, and they're looking at putting a full-service 6-story hotel here if y'all approve this tonight. So basically
6 or
asking...
5, Richard? Excuse me. Our agenda says 5.
It's a, no,
That was in
it's a
08.
6. We already have a 5. It's already...
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's already been granted
I
a
just
5.
picked up on that. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And-
So a 5 had already been approved.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
sir.
gotcha. Okay.
So that's what they're asking for. They've had the property now for some time. They had been working with J.P. Morgan for about 7 months trying to make sure that they could get a easement across some of their property, J.P. Morgan's property, to go into East Chase Lane.
Okay.
Be glad to answer any other questions.
So that'd put it at 6 stories.
Yes, sir. I've spoken with Councilman Jenwright in the area to see if he had any thoughts or complaints. He had heard nothing at this time, and
So you and Mr. Jenwright are okay with that? Because I think this will be the highest one out there.
it will.
I'm not aware of any that's gone above 5.
No, sir.
But I don't see
So-
where it's causing a problem.
So it will set a
Drury-
precedent.
Well, the Drury Inn probably is the tallest one in the whole area out there, if you look at it as a whole. So this, in that particular area, will set a precedent to be 6 stories.
That's correct.
It drops down the hill from Berry Chase into East Chase, so it probably loses a story as it goes down in that area.
Yeah, talking about below
Yes,
granite grade. There you go. All right, any further questions, board members? Anyone in the audience care to address this item? We don't have anybody left. Everybody's gone. So you got no opposition, Richard?
Entertain a motion.
I'm the last one. Thank you.
You in? The chair will entertain a motion now.
Okay, 1-story variance, additional 17 feet 6-inch height variance. I recommend.
Second.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Howell, is that you?
That's me. Tis I.
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Do we have any further discussions? All in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you,
got
Mr.
it?
Chairman. Thank
Yes,
you all.
sir. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate your service. I have a motion to approve the minutes.
So be it.
I have a motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.